Hello. First up, Artie from the future here. I have a little disclaimer/announcement to make. The main reason why you may have been wondering why the guy didn't show up last week, even though it doesn't seem that in-depth, is quite simple. I have a few reasons for it. First of all is a kind of hunt burnout. After playing Hunt so much, especially in a condensed space, Matchmaker being horrid, while the event is nice and refreshing, you can only play so much of it. In combination with one of my teammates not really being available much, that made Hunt pretty stale. That means that I obviously lost the drive to stick in the game for a bit, and that made things more complicated. In addition, there is work. I now started a new job, which normally follows a shift system of early shift, day shift, and late shift. And they take up a lot of my day, and depending on how well I sleep the day beforehand, or how the shift goes, if I want to just absolutely slap one of my co-workers or not, let's just say that also affects my energy afterwards. These guides are something that I have to come up with, and I don't really like working on them periodically. I will also have to see if it's viable to keep the weekly upload schedule, or if I have to extend it to 2 weeks to keep my passion up. I will just simply have to see. The following also applies to the fact that I may just try to do some more casual content, like doing some tier lists, for example, like I asked in the polls a while back, due to the fact that I want to still keep out pumping content that people are interested in, or opinions that people are interested in, but be much easier on me with my work-life balance. Since, as I said, these guides base on the free time that I have, and due to work only giving me the weekend to work with, really, and me just wanting to chill after a shift, I will have to see how I keep working on this. If I will just keep sporadically pumping them out, I want to try to maintain some sort of consistency, but I don't want to go with crude scales such as 1.5 weeks of development, because just, that doesn't really work. Or just saying I'll keep it at a weekly, but then constantly being like, oh yeah, sorry bros, I can't put one out. Sorry bros, I can't put one out. That ain't exactly nice either. So I'm just going to name the problem at its head, and that is just simply, I will not know if I will be able to maintain the weekly schedule. I may go to a 2-week schedule, maybe at worst 3-week schedule. I want to avoid that urgently because my channel is so small and I want to keep the growth up. But I also don't want to sacrifice the content, especially in regards to beginner guides, because obviously a beginner knows much less, so I will have to teach much more. I also need to write scripts, which are very stale, due to the fact that, I have to do a lot of typing. I just got a new keyboard that I want to already slam into a wall, because while it's a great keyboard design-wise, I just simply hate that it has a set of macro keys on the left, and I'm being used to having only the tab keys and, shift on the left-hand side, which is currently messing with my perception of the keyboard. Anyway, enough rambling, let's get to the original video. Today's guide is on the first steps in Hunt Showdown. We'll be analyzing the intro and seeing what it offers. So, let's look at the advice the game gives you in the initial introduction. First thing you're shown is Hunt's health system, using small and big bars. It teaches you that medkit gives you 50 HP, and that medkits are a valuable resource. It also indirectly shows you that you have 150 HP instead of 100, which is an integral part of Hunt, and confused me when I first played, thinking the enemies are cheating. Next, we're introduced to stopping bleeds / certain things inflicting status effects, like bleeding.
Bleed out. I gave you that first aid kit for a reason. If it's used up, there's a health station.
After we patch up, we were shown how to use Dark Sight to locate clues. These are your key at hunting down the boss target, and will also give a small reward in XP and a guaranteed money reward of $50 per clue, which you'll get even if you die.
Each clue guides you towards your target.
Up next, you'll notice the map boundary shift on the minimap. That's because of you narrowing it down with a clue. This is what leads you to the target on the map, and also shows you ongoing banishes, supply points, moving bounty carriers, or locations people acquire Darksight boost at. But more on that later. Now you're shown this game's sound traps, consisting of cages colored in red, horses, crows, ducks, and finally cows. All of them have different ranges of being alerted and also different ranges of being audible. The horse/cow are the furthest, ranging at around 300 meters, which is more than a quarter of the length of the map. Crows, for example, can be heard from about 90-ish meters, and dog cages as well. That means that setting them off in a compound may alert enemies that are going there or have been to that compound recently to come back and potentially take out any unwanted company. Crows and ducks can't be shot unless you're using poison or incendiary bolts, dragon's breath and or throwables like poison bombs, molotovs or lanterns. But I wouldn't suggest you try unless you have poison bolts on the hand crossbow, since otherwise it's still loud, meaning the gain is minimal. Horses and cows can be knifed quickly or shot with silent weapons, for example a bow as well as killed with throwing tools. Dog gauges can be taken out by destroying the lantern up top, although that causes a noticeable sound, so with most noise traps you want to avoid alerting them. After getting through, you're shown the game's different melee tools: the knife, knuckles, knuckle knife and heavy knife. I personally only recommend the knuckles for beginners. Although less lethal in PvP, they allow you to take out immolators, the burning skeletal monsters roaming the normal maps, since those are set off to explode into a fireball if pierced, also setting them into rage, where they move much faster and cause burn upon contact. Immolators are best avoided or swiftly taken out with blunt attacks, poison ammo, choke bombs and bolts also take them out instantly. After being told about melee stamina and taking out dummies and grunts, as well as an armored, which is best killed by meleeing the head, you are shown the shooting range. The key takeaway for Hunt is that there is no auto-reloading. You need to keep checking your ammo counter in the bottom right to make sure you don't hear a click when you enter combat. Here you also get to experiment with different weapons. I'd suggest picking up the one that suits your usual playstyle in other games, although the best all-rounder is the Frontier 73C, since while it has lower damage, it's a repeating gun with good range and decent rate of fire. Another important aspect of Hunt's game design is headshots are always lethal, no matter the caliber. If your dome is struck, you're donezo. Keep that in mind, since sometimes you'll be better off hoping to pop a head than engage in a war of attrition. Next, you're shown the sound of a red clue, which means an enemy within 30 meters of the clue can be there. It can clearly be heard since the sound is much more loud and hostile compared to the usual calm ambience coming from a clue. The same effect also works for bosses. If the icon blinks white in dark side, you're fine, at least in the closer proximity. If it starts blinking red with aggressive whispers, you better be ready for trial of your patience or an upcoming fight/push. Next up are revives. These work a bit differently in Hunt. After being downed the first time, you lose 25 or 50 HP, depending on the bar size that was lost. They cannot be regained other than by banishing a boss, a mini-boss, using a recovery shot, or using an event restoration kit. What is a mini-boss? A mini-boss is, for example, the Hellborn, Jumbo Immolator, or Rotjaw, the Alligator. The event restoration kit is only found at event supplies, which are basically active seasons. This means that they aren't always available, especially in the non-event time. All of these mechanics put pressure on the player that was downed, since especially in CQC, most guns can now one-tap you to the chest. Another important detail is that you don't get back up with full health unless you have resilience or play as a solo with the Necromancer trait. Combine this with the inability to move and shoot for around 4 to 5 seconds after the revive, and you'll need to plan your revives carefully to not risk more bars being lost or you and your team getting killed. Next up, we're shown fire damage. Fire burns your health slowly, in ticks, and can cause the loss of health bars if not stopped. Similar to being downed, that means it's very important to put it out as soon as it's safe to do so. Next on the list are throwables, which are shown as molotovs of different kinds and dynamite. For the beginning, I'd suggest only using firebombs, since they're literally just light and throw and serve both as area denial and for burning players both downed and alive. They can also be used to instantly set off explosives thrown into them or at them, as well as being thrown at barrels to set them off. except the hive barrel, which just burns them to death. After that comes the navigation of AI-filled area, which teaches you how to maneuver around AI when in a compound and how to take it out. Ideally, you use throwing knives, axes, or a spear, or a similar silent weapon / melee tool. Next is the demo boss fight versus a weakened butcher. This shows you just how resilient even a weak boss is and how to fight them using doors and cover as well as explosives if you have any. Then the banish and effects of dark sides are explained about how it reveals your bounty location to everybody on the map. You're also taught to prepare with traps and assume defensive positions due to potentially enemy presence or attacks. This also restores all health bars no matter if you have one left, if you're burning, bleeding, or poisoned. It removes every status effect and always gives you full health, as long as you're the one banishing. If the enemy sneaks in and steals the banish, you will not get any benefits from that. Now you can pick up a bounty and are introduced to Dark Side Boost, a sort of very rough in-game wall hack that is only usable in Dark Side and can be used for 5 seconds per carrier. It allows you to see where your enemies are to better plan your escape / upcoming gunfight and check if you down somebody by looking for the silhouette. It has a range of 150 meters and is backed by a passive ability that pulsates your screen with an orange glow when somebody is within 75 meters of you and has no limit to its use. But it's not as useful due to it not giving the enemy's position or the number of people alive / left. Now you can just either extract with what is on the back, or you try to get more with the risk of losing it all. Choice is yours, and especially early on, I'd just get a bounty and try to leave. Later in your experience, you can try to grab both aggressively by pushing the other bounty. Anyways, this was the first part of the series. The next video we'll be looking at how to properly set up your first hunters / some beginner loadouts as well as some basic advice for the matches. Have a nice hunt and I'll see ya in the bayou.